This KZ EDX Pro, ever since it's come out, I have monitored its sales. I have monitored to see whether this particular earphone was going to take off. But for some reason, and rightfully so, I think I understand why it's not doing well. This earphone hasn't taken off. It's in fact not really um selling at the rate it should sell, considering how popular the original EDX was. And the reason I feel for this is the fact that I don't think this model may offer something crazy unique compared to the original EDX. The EDX, when it did come out, took the audio market by storm. People listened to it, myself included. We loved that tuning. It had its flaws because it's a cheap, very cheap earphone, but for that price, the tuning was just fantastic and served its purpose. But ever since then, it has gone on to become, I think, one, if not the second most successful IEM that I've seen, at least in terms of sales, that I've gathered the information. I think it's only the blonde BLO3 that overall has better sales than the original EDX that came out last year. So I've been monitoring to see what will be the outcome of the pro version that they released, and I don't think it's doing so well. The reason for this is that the body design of the earphone is very different from the EDX. Not that different in terms of being totally something that is out of the ordinary, but it is different nonetheless. It has a shell that is very much designed for the EDX, but it doesn't really look like the regular EDX. If you keep the two side by side, you will really say, okay, you know what? These two earphones really look different from each other. And another thing they wanted to improve was the tuning. They wanted to bring up the mids, maybe turn down treble slightly, and elevate bass if just to make it more fun. But the thing here is that the tuning can on paper look decent, but it's when people start listening to it and comparing it against the older model that they may come to that conclusion that look, the upgrade may not be what they expected it to be. Now, the EDX Pro, probably, I think why it's not being overly talked about is because maybe people have gotten it and obviously listened to it and haven't really found a reason to recommend it over the prior ADX. Now, don't get me wrong, it could still take off eventually, but it's been out for a couple of months now, like 2 months or so, and it's not done so well like as I would expect it to do. To be honest, I really was expecting it by now to have sold a couple of thousand units around different stores, and I've monitored the stores that sell EDX products, sorry, not the KZ products the most, and they barely cracked 100 plus on this model. Eventually, I do believe eventually maybe it may sell very well. I believe eventually it might really perform very well in terms of sales. But for the time being, I've been monitoring the sales, and it's not really looking like an earphone that will blow up so much like it should, considering the popularity of the EDX. The EDX, similar to the BLO3 from Blonde, was one of those earphones that was out of the ordinary. It came out and took off, really just took off. Started selling so well that other sub brands, for instance, CCS released their CS1s and CS2 dynamic driver earphones. not just CCA, this is the brand of KZ. KZ as well has released the EDX Pro. TRN has released their own MT1, MT2. They released more earphones, more dynamic driver earphones that are cheap, but these earphones have not been able to break the sales margin that you would expect from a very cheap set. You know, when you're very cheap like this, it becomes quite easy to, it really becomes quite easy to sell well compared to more expensive models. I was expecting a lot better with this, but but we'll see. I'm still monitoring to see whether this set is something that can get a lot of recommendations with time, because the EDX really took off. The EDX was a big earphone in sales. uh a lot of people gave it a 5-star review. It was not perfect, but it was one of the very best earphones that you can pick up. So this particular earphone, the pro version, it has to be to do better, slightly better than the EDX, for many people that have paid for it, to be able to get so much recommendation for it to become quite successful. Because at the moment, with the sales I've seen it gathering, it's not doing very well, and it could be dead and buried with within the next couple of months if it doesn't start doing very well. So that's it. I will leave links. There are discounts right now for it. On the link I will leave in the description. If you want to pick it up, do subscribe to the channel. I'll see everyone next time.